Welcome back to Transit Fridays. So let's dive straight into the full moon because that's one of the key things that's happening this week. So from Friday today, the 11th of October, until next Friday, the 18th. So Thursday, 17th is when we have the full moon. So there's a full moon in Aries that I really want to dedicate most of this video, and so we can have insights, look into it from the constructive perspective. What can you do with these energies that's gonna bring you gifts and opportunities and possibilities, and so you can get ready to use this energy creatively, right? It's not about being Pollyanna and pretending that there are no shadows in the world or in life, but it is about making the most of what we have, taking responsibility for our decisions, and really co-creating our lives and reality with the universe. So let me share my screen. And how have you all been? What's been going on this week? We talked about Jupiter going retrograde. That was the one of the key transits for this week, and what I did was to do a whole video about that. So this week, that's pretty much the same. So rather than going day by day, I'm just gonna focus on the main thing that's happening this week as well, which is the full moon. So did you feel anything? Did you notice anything with that Grand Trine water, or with Jupiter stationing to go retrograde? Is anything that called your attention? That any stories, anything? I've been having some really strange dreams actually the last couple of days. Um, they're strange dreams, very, very vivid, but also, picking up on all of the things I talked about with my therapist, because I saw a Jungian therapist for many years, for like 10 years almost. And we used to do a lot of dream work and analyze dreams and etc. And based on all the work we've done in the past, I think those dreams are good omens because I've managed to solve a situation, even though they're a bit strange. But yeah, I don't want to get into the details and self-indulge, but I've been having some very vivid dreams. So I'm very curious about how are you? How was your week? Let me know right down in the comments. I'm always reading it. I'm always checking the comments, even if I take a little longer to reply nowadays. I'm always checking. So cool. So that's the 17th of October. That's 8:30 in the morning here in Brazil, in São Paulo, which is more or less when this full moon is going to be happening. So we have the moon at 24 degrees Aries and the sun at 24 degrees Libra. So that's when the moon is going to be pretty much exact, the full moon, the opposition to the sun. So we're gonna have a look at this. We're gonna have a look at this chart, dissect. But before I get into this chart, also, one of the key things is that tomorrow, Pluto is going to be stationing to go direct as well. So we've got these two changes. We've got Jupiter going retrograde, which has happened earlier this week. And then we also have Pluto stationing to go direct at 29 Capricorn. And so we're beginning is the beginning of the end of Pluto and Capricorn. So we're beginning to say goodbye to this Pluto and Capricorn, and Pluto will be moving for good in Aquarius. But before that happens, this Pluto is still going to be featuring in this full moon as well. So there is a powerful, powerful energy in this full moon. There are a few things that I really want to explore, to take a deeper look at and share with you. But one of the key things that immediately draws my eye in is a grand cross. So there is a grand cross involved in the energy of this full moon. So we've got the sun and the moon at 24 Libra Aries, but we also have Mars at 22 Cancer, so forming a square to the sun and the moon, and also Pluto opposite Mars and square the sun and the moon. Now, moon, the full moon, is also conjoined Chiron. So we have a couple of intense aspects here, intense configurations. And in particular, because they're involving intense planets. We're talking about Mars, right? Which has to do with assertion, saying no, anger, right? Separation, etc. Being the warrior, right? Not really compromising and committing to something that you don't want to commit. It's like, is the planet of boundaries. And then the other point that's being involved here is Pluto, which is all about evolution through death and rebirth, right? There's a lot of purging that Pluto represents when we're going through a Pluto transit. Personally, there is a lot of old stuff that we really need to get through, that we really need to see and let go of and peel off, right? From whichever area that Pluto is transiting or whichever planet that in the natal chart is being activated by Pluto, it will give us more clues on what areas, what dimension, what drive in the psyche, etc. But here, we're talking about a collective placement. We're talking about a full moon, an imprint of culmination of abundance of energy here that the full moon usually represents, that's being activated by this 29-degree in Capricorn Pluto as well. So there could be a lot of rage, anger, um, uncommitment, uncompromising, a lot of resentment for the things that we've been doing that we didn't want to do that might be coming up during this full moon, during this week. It's just really, really important to take a look at whatever it is that comes up, whatever it is that's calling your attention, right? Obviously, finding creative channels for this energy would be ideal. So if you're more of a energetic type, to do something physical, go for walks, go for runs, do something creative, build something, write the letters that you're not necessarily going to send, write in your journal, really communicate with your anger, with your rage, with the things that are really coming up to you now, because it needs to be acknowledged. It really does. Not always the work that we need to do is going to be smooth. Obviously, I'm sure you already know that. But just as just to recognize that myself as well, not always going to be flowy. And this is a particular full moon that's a reminder of that the road is going to be bumpy every now and then. And it's important to be awake and to be aware and to witness this energy in the best way that we can, so we can apply this power in a creative way rather than a purely destructive way, right? There will be situations where it's important to destroy something. It's important to end a toxic relationship, leave a job that's not really, fulfilling you, cut ties with family members that are just sapping your energy, or sometimes it's really important, viable, and um part of the story there to end something, to destroy something. And with the Pluto Mars combo, as well as the Aries combo there, then that could be really highlighted. That could be really under the spotlight. But sometimes is also internal. A lot of these battles are happening within rather than without. And a lot of the things that we need to destroy or let go of or peel off is a belief system, a way of seeing yourself, a way of talking to yourself, a way of denying your own needs because other people are asking you to do something, right? That's a classic for that. Sun in Libra, the South Node in Libra, Chiron in Aries, not feeling like we're entitled to say no, not feeling that we're entitled to take up our own space, to be alone if that's what we need, or, whatever it is. So changing that mindset could be a very strong power or part, not power, a strong, powerful part of what this full moon energy is going to be bringing us, right? It could be a really powerful gift that this full moon will be bringing us. So the ability to destroy an old way of treating ourselves, of allowing certain behaviors, um, certain patterns to keep in place in our lives, right? So there's something about that. And it could be a wonderful opportunity to practice saying no, to practice really getting in touch with these raw emotions, that are constellated in what Mars and what Pluto, represents in astrology, in our psyches, right? Mars, it's an important planet. It's in the mutual reception with the moon. So the moon is in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. Mars is in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. So they're kind of in a, they're sort of tight buddies there. They're working as a pair somehow. And again, I feel that that could be connected with quick reaction, quick responding, quick heightened arguments, especially arguments with family members. We've got that Mars in Cancer, right? But they're all around what I'm just sharing here with you as well, about these old ways that we need to really look into, and potentially, dare I say, look into our own contributions for the situation, our own responsibility for whatever it is that's happening as well. Why did I not remove myself from the situation before? Why did I not say no earlier? Why am I sacrificing myself again, or etc.? Is this really an authentic value of mine? Or is this coming from ego? You know? Because it goes both ways. I guess I'm really used to thinking about, highly sensitives and HSPs and empaths and etc. and thinking, oh, we really struggle to say no. And that's going to be a big one for us. There's also the other side of the coin. Like if you're constantly arguing with people, if you're constantly angry, ready to fly off handle at any small irritation, well, this is gonna be intense for you as well. Because I think full moons like this, they give us an opportunity to fine-tune our relationship with Mars. I think Mars, being a personal planet, is our personal connection to that drive, with that realm of existence. Whereas Pluto there is telling us it's time to up our games, to really, change things, shake things up, you know, um, regenerate something connected to these flavors, right? Obviously, the Libra Aries, which is where the full moon is already telling me there's something about the balance of give and take. How much do we give? How much do we take? Um, who am I when I'm alone? Who am I when I'm with another person? And issues around anything like that. Relationship issues obviously are there in the mixture very much when we have Aries and Libra, and the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries there as well. And obviously, finally, last but not least, the full moon being conjoined Chiron. I mean, that's a big one. That Chiron obviously is in square to Mars. So is again, for me, that's a double whammy of this feeling of the wounded warrior within us all, the wounded, part of us that can make decisions, that can take initiative, that can do things regardless of what we think other people will say or judge or think. Our ability to be independent individuals with initiative. I think that wounds around that will be very much triggered here with that Chiron being so close to the full moon. And again, the picture I have, the imagery I have in my mind is the spotlight of the full moon shining right on that Chiron. and showing something that's been there, that we've been experiencing, but we're sort of oblivious to it somehow. So we could get a lot of insights. We really could. A lot of clarity, a lot of insights, a lot of, big revelations here in relation to all of these things I'm talking about, right? So that's definitely there. Now, um, personal freedom and cooperation, all of that there, the Libra, Aries. Now, to a lesser extent, another thing that I really want to point out is obviously Mars is very much powerful here, even though it's in Cancer, which is considered fall, blah, blah, blah. It's very powerful because it rules the moon, it rules the Chiron, and it rules the North Node, as well as Mercury in Scorpio and Venus in Scorpio at the moment of the full moon. So Mars is ruling a lot of different drives here, different points of this full moon chart. So that Mars is really under the spotlight. And also Venus at 29 in Scorpio. I think that's a very interesting um placement here. You would have opposed Uranus not too long before the full moon, which would be pointing out to any issues of personal space, personal freedom in our relationships as well, in our connections, in our way of building and doing relationships. What it is that we need to change there would have been under the spotlight this week as well, with that opposition between Venus and Uranus. But also, Venus is in a perfect, almost perfect sextile to Pluto. So the same Pluto that's involved in a Grand Cross, there is a perfect sextile here with this Venus. And Venus also obviously a trine to Neptune. So Venus is touching the three outer planets here. And for me, there's something about upgrading our values, our connection to our values, becoming very serious, becoming very honest, psychologically. I think this is one of the greatest things about Venus in Scorpio, is the ability to be honest and to be raw. And so there is an opportunity there to be really honest and really raw about our values, what our values truly are in this situation, and let that be the guide in whichever conflict that the Grand Cross is pointing at. So Venus can give us a way out of this conflict, right? It would have formed a trine to Mars as well in Cancer. It was part of a grand trine in water last week. So I really feel this Venus in Scorpio can give us a last like oomph in the situation and a way out. And again, a way out by being psychologically honest and passionate and deadly serious about our values. What really makes us tick, what really ignites the passion within us, and what's really important to us as a way of knowing that. Because later on in that day, that same Venus is going to shift into Sagittarius. So the very same day of the full moon. So again, that's an interesting movement here, because it's like the last breath of this Venus in Scorpio will be during this full moon in Aries with a Grand Cross. So I really feel that there is something urgent that we need to do before it shifts into that Sagittarian energy, which will then be ruled by Jupiter, and it will be a lot more into the world view and the, exploring the possibilities and a more adventurous side, right? A much more adventurous side of that Venus. So really, it's a powerful, powerful full moon, powerful chart. It's definitely what's really under the spotlight here. And I hope that we can all make the most of it and use this energy to evolve, continue our growth, to step into our authenticity, who we really are, etc. Let go of the old wounds and step into an ability to say no for some of you that are highly sensitives like me. Being able to say no, not feeling guilty for it. This full moon could be wonderful, could be really good for you. And in spite of the potential conflicts that might be around us all. And finally, before I go, I really wanted to point out to this trine between the Sun in Libra and Jupiter in Gemini. So we could be really expanding our sense of self, our self-expression here as well, and understand things from an intellectual point of view as well. There is a potential for that. There's a potential for growth in that way. There's a sextile here as well between Jupiter and Chiron, a very exact sextile. So, some healing aspects amongst the Grand Cross. So that's it. I hope this is helpful. I hope you can make the most of this intense yet promising full moon. And let me know in the comments. Have you got any plans? Are you going to be doing something? I have my Q&As with my academy students on Thursday. So I might think about something to do together with him as a little ritual together, live. I don't know. I'll see what I come up with. But you let me know. What are you going to be doing? What are your plans? Where is this full moon going to be falling in your chart? So where is 21 Aries and 21 Libra, etc. And I'll be back next Friday. So take care. Mwah. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon.